Have you ever felt like you don't belong in this world? Like there's something inside you that doesn't quite fit the mold, no matter how hard you try? That feeling, it's not a mistake. It's a calling, a sign that the reality you've been told to accept is nothing more than a carefully constructed illusion. The truth is, you were never meant to be like everyone else. You were meant to wake up. For centuries, the system has done everything in its power to keep you asleep. From the moment you were born, you were programmed to forget who you really are, to believe you are powerless, to doubt your own instincts. But what if I told you that this was all a lie? That buried deep within you is something they never wanted you to find. The truth about your divine bloodline. The signs are all around you. The strange synchronicities, the intuitive nudges, the moments where reality itself seems to be speaking directly to you. These aren't coincidences. They are mystical reminders, clues left behind by the universe to guide you back to your true path. But here's the catch. Not everyone is meant to see it. Not everyone is ready. Only those who are willing to break free from the illusion will uncover the truth that has been hidden for generations. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. In this video, we're going to expose the lies that have been fed to you since birth. We're going to unravel the layers of conditioning that have kept you trapped. And by the end, you'll understand why. You've always felt different because you were never meant to be part of this system. You were meant to rise above it. So if you're ready to see the world as it truly is, if you feel that pull deep in your soul telling you that something bigger is happening, then stay with me until the end. Trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming. And before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to this channel. So many people watch but forget to subscribe, and you don't want to miss out on what's coming. Next, this knowledge is for those who are ready, and if you're still here, that means you are one of them. There comes a time in every seeker's life when the world no longer feels like home. It's a subtle yet persistent feeling, an inner restlessness, a quiet knowing that something isn't quite right. This isn't a flaw, nor is it a sign that you're lost. On the contrary, this discontent is a divine whisper, calling you toward something far greater than the mundane. It is the first spark of spirituality igniting within, a signal that you are beginning to remember who you truly are. Those who have experienced this feeling often try to silence it, distracting themselves with the noise of everyday life, but the call does not fade. Instead, it grows louder, demanding attention. From birth, society ingrains a certain narrative into the minds of the masses, a framework designed to keep people comfortable, obedient and blind to the deeper mysteries of the universe. Those who follow the program rarely question its purpose. They move through life mechanically, unaware of the grand illusion they inhabit. But then, there are the outliers, the ones who feel like strangers in their own reality. These are the ones who carry a frequency different from the rest. They don't fit in, not because they are flawed, but because they were never meant to. They are the ones waking up. This awakening isn't always a graceful process. It can be disorienting, even painful, as one starts to see beyond. The veil of illusion. The traditions, beliefs, and structures that once felt secure now appear artificial, carefully constructed to keep the soul in a state of slumber. When you begin to question everything, when the thought of conforming becomes unbearable, know that you are on the right path. It is here, in this discomfort, that true mystical transformation begins. Many ancient texts, from the Bhagavad Gita to the words of Christ, have hinted at this process of awakening. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. John 8:32. But freedom is not without its trials. The journey requires courage, for stepping outside the boundaries of the conditioned mind can be unsettling. Yet, those who persist will find that the world they once knew was only a fragment of a much larger reality. They will realize that they are not merely bodies moving through time, but souls on a sacred path of remembrance. And so, the question arises, why you? Why are you among the few who sense this awakening? What makes you different? The answer lies not in logic, but in the deep knowing of your own spiritual essence. You were chosen for this path, not by accident, not by chance, but because you hold within you a divine lineage that the world has tried to make you forget. The next step, however, is not just about recognizing this truth, but about embracing it. And that is where the real transformation begins. There is something unmistakable about those who have begun to awaken. Their presence alone shifts the energy in a room, often in ways that others can't quite explain. It's not arrogance, nor is it superiority. It's simply the weight of spirituality vibrating at a higher frequency. Those who carry this energy find themselves affecting people without even trying. Some are drawn to them, sensing an unspoken wisdom, while others feel inexplicably uncomfortable in their presence. This discomfort stems from one simple truth: the awakened challenge everything the world has conditioned others to accept. Throughout history, the most powerful spiritual figures, Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, were met with both reverence and rejection. Their energy shattered illusions, dissolving the carefully crafted beliefs that kept people in a passive state of existence. The same happens today. Those who awaken often notice that their relationships shift. People they once felt connected to may begin to distance themselves, not out of malice, but because the vibration they once shared is no longer aligned. Some will misunderstand, accusing them of being different or distant, when in reality they are simply evolving. The struggle is not just external. The awakened feel it internally as well. There is a mourning for the old self, for the version of them that once fit so neatly into the world's expectations. There is a longing for the simplicity of ignorance, for the ease of believing what was once comforting. But the truth, once seen, cannot be unseen. The mystical soul. Awareness of one's divine nature is both a gift and a responsibility. To carry this frequency means to walk a path that is often solitary, misunderstood, and even resisted. The Bible speaks of this shift in Matthew 10:34. "Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword." This does not refer to physical violence, but to the disruption of old patterns, the breaking of illusions, the cutting away of what no longer serves. Awakening is a sword that severs attachments to falsehoods, forcing individuals to confront their own shadows. The world, comfortable in its illusions, does not take kindly to those who disrupt them. Yet for those who persist, something miraculous happens. The discomfort fades, and in its place clarity emerges. The confusion of why others react with resistance transforms into understanding. One begins to see that their presence is meant to be a catalyst, one that shakes, that stirs, that awakens others in ways they may not even recognize yet. And as this awareness deepens, the next realization sets in. If the frequency of the awakened is so powerful, then what else has been hidden within them all along? For centuries, humanity has been told a great lie: that power exists only outside of them, in institutions, in leaders, in forces beyond their control. But those who have begun their spiritual awakening soon realize the truth. The power they have been seeking has always been within them. It is not something given. It is something remembered. The ancient texts knew this well. The Bible itself declares in Luke 17:21, "The kingdom of God is within you." Yet, how many have truly grasped the depth of this message? The world has conditioned people to believe that they are weak, dependent, and incomplete. But that conditioning is nothing more than a veil, hiding the profound reality of their divine essence. Long before modern religions sought to centralize authority, ancient civilizations understood that there were individuals who carried a different frequency. They were called mystics, seers, prophets, and sages. These individuals were not chosen by some external force. They were simply those who had awakened first. They saw beyond the illusions, beyond the limitations imposed by society, and embraced the power that was inherently theirs. But here's the secret: they were not unique. Their abilities, their wisdom, their connection to the universe, all of it exists within every single soul willing to remember. Many people experience glimpses of this power without even realizing it, a sudden intuition that proves true, a moment of synchronicity so precise it cannot be dismissed as coincidence, a dream that reveals something later confirmed in reality. These are not accidents. They are fragments of a deeper truth breaking through the surface, reminders that reality is far more malleable than we have been led to believe. The problem is that most dismiss these experiences, brushing them off as tricks of the mind. But those who dare to listen, who dare to question, begin to see that these moments are not rare. They are constant. They have simply been ignored. Christ himself said in John 14:12, "Very truly, I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these." This statement is one of the most radical declarations in all of Scripture, yet it is often overlooked. If Jesus himself acknowledged that others could access the same power he demonstrated, then why do so many still doubt their own divine potential? The answer is simple. The system does not want them to know. A world filled with empowered individuals cannot be controlled. A world where people remember their true essence is a world where fear loses its grip. But this is where the challenge begins. It is not enough to simply acknowledge this power. It must be cultivated, embraced, and embodied. The question is no longer whether this power exists within you, but whether you are ready to claim it. Because once you do, everything changes. The way you see the world, the way you interact with others, the way you move through life, and most importantly, the way you allow yourself to experience the limitless potential that has always been waiting for you to remember. From the moment a child takes its first breath, it is introduced to a system designed to make it forget who it truly is. This system is not just political or social, it is spiritual at its core. It operates through education, culture, and even family traditions, subtly reinforcing the idea that reality is fixed, that intuition is unreliable, and that questioning is dangerous. The result? A world full of people who live within boundaries they never chose, believing limitations that were never truly theirs. They do not see the veil placed over their eyes, because it was set so early that they never knew life without it. This veil of forgetting is no accident. Ancient texts, from the Bible to esoteric manuscripts, speak of a deliberate separation between the mystical and the mundane. In Hosea 4:6 it is written, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." This is not about ordinary education. It is about the suppression of divine wisdom. Those in power throughout history have understood one truth. Knowledge of one's true self is the greatest form of liberation. If people remembered who they really were, if they saw through the illusion, control would crumble. And so a program was built, one that conditions people to doubt themselves, to fear their inner voice, to reject anything that cannot be seen or measured. Think about it. Why is imagination dismissed as childish? Why is intuition seen as unreliable? Why is questioning authority considered rebellious? These are not coincidences. Every instinct that could lead someone back to their divine nature has been methodically ridiculed. A child who sees beyond the physical world is told it's just their imagination. A person who experiences synchronicities is told it's just chance. A seeker who questions reality is mocked as delusional. This is how the system maintains itself, by convincing individuals that their spiritual instincts are nothing more than illusions. But the cracks are forming. The veil is thinning. More and more people are experiencing things they cannot explain, intuitive insights, prophetic dreams, moments of deep connection with the universe that shake their perception of reality. These experiences are not errors. They are the soul's way of remembering, of breaking free from the program, and this is why awakening is often so disruptive. It forces one to question everything they have been taught. It demands a choice: remain within the illusion or dare to step beyond it. The choice, however, is not always easy, because once you begin to see, you cannot unsee. And as you awaken, the world around you does not remain the same. The way people react to you changes. The way you experience life shifts. And perhaps most unsettling of all, the things you once accepted without question now appear hollow, empty, meaningless. But this is only the beginning, because once the veil has been lifted, the real journey begins. And that journey is one that will test everything you thought you knew. The moment someone begins to awaken, the world around them starts to shift. It's not just an internal transformation. It is something that radiates outward, touching every interaction, every relationship, every environment they once found familiar. And with this shift comes an inevitable truth. Not everyone will understand. Some will be drawn in, sensing a presence they can't quite explain. Others will resist, retreat, or even lash out, not because they hate the awakened individual, but because they fear what they represent. To awaken is to become a mirror, reflecting back the illusions that others still cling to, and for many, that reflection is too much to bear. This reaction is not new. Even Jesus spoke of it in John 15:18. "If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first." This is the nature of spirituality. It challenges, disrupts, and forces change. Those who remain asleep often reject the awakened, not because they are evil or malicious, but because their reality feels threatened. They see someone they once knew transforming before their eyes, no longer bound by the same fears, no longer accepting the same limitations, and instead of questioning their own reality, they find it easier to reject the one who has changed. Relationships begin to shift in ways that can feel painful. Friends who once felt like family may start to distance themselves. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly now feel forced, shallow, or even confrontational. The awakened often feel like strangers in their own circles, as if they are speaking a language that no one else understands. But this is not a punishment. It is a realignment. It is the universe ensuring that the awakened are surrounded by those who truly resonate with their new frequency. And then there are those who will try to pull them back. The world is uncomfortable with outliers. It prefers predictability, conformity, control. When someone begins to break free, those around them, whether consciously or unconsciously, will often try to bring them back into alignment with the system. "You've changed," they'll say, as if it were a bad thing. They will challenge, question, even ridicule, hoping to drag them back into the familiar. This is a test, one that every awakened soul must face. The question is, will they shrink back into their old self, or will they embrace the transformation, even if it means walking away from everything they once knew? But here is the truth. What is meant for them will always find them. The right people, the right connections, the right experiences will begin to emerge. And though the path may feel lonely at first, it is never truly walked alone. The awakened do not just lose people, they gain something far greater. They gain clarity, purpose, and a deeper connection to their own mystical essence. And soon, they begin to see that this process, though painful, was never about loss. It was about making space for something far more aligned with who they were always meant to be. Awakening is not a gentle process. It is not a peaceful realization where everything suddenly makes sense. It is chaos. It is the crumbling of everything once believed to be true. It is the shattering of identities, relationships, careers, and even the very foundation on which one's life was built. And yet, this destruction is not a punishment. It is an initiation. Like fire purifying gold, the awakening burns away everything that is no longer in alignment with one's highest self. The pain, the confusion, the isolation, these are not signs of failure, but proof that transformation is underway. In Matthew 10:39, Jesus states, "Whoever finds their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for my sake will find it." This is not a call to suffering, but a profound truth about spirituality. The life built on false foundations must collapse before the real one can be constructed. Many experience this as a period of deep loss. Jobs that no longer resonate fall away. Relationships that were never truly aligned dissolve. Belief systems once held sacred begin to crumble. It feels as though everything is being stripped away. But in reality, nothing is being lost. Only illusions are being removed. This is the part of the journey where many retreat, clinging to the comfort of the familiar, even when it no longer serves them. Fear whispers that it would be easier to go back, to pretend they never saw the truth, to return to the life that once felt safe, but there is no going back. Once the veil has been lifted, once the soul has begun to awaken, the old life will never feel the same again. The only path is forward, through the fire, through the uncertainty, through the discomfort of becoming something entirely new. Think of the caterpillar. In its final moments before transformation, it does not simply grow wings and fly. It dissolves completely, breaking down into formless matter, before rebuilding itself into something entirely different. This is what awakening feels like. It is a process of unmaking and remaking, and it is brutal. But those who endure it, those who surrender to the chaos instead of resisting it, emerge with something far greater than they ever imagined. A clarity, a purpose, a connection to the mystical forces of the universe that had been waiting for them all along. The question then becomes, will you trust the process? Will you allow the old self to dissolve, knowing that something far greater is waiting to be revealed? This is where true faith is tested, not in moments of certainty, but in the abyss of transformation. And for those who make it through, the next stage is something even more profound. Because once the destruction is complete, once the illusions are gone, what remains is something unshakable, something the world was never meant to control. There is a reason why those who awaken feel so different, so out of place in the world. It is because they were never meant to fit into the system. They were meant to break it. The very existence of an awakened soul is a threat to the structures that have kept humanity asleep for generations. Their thoughts, their actions, their mere presence challenge everything the world has been conditioned to accept as truth. And this is not by accident. Those who awaken are not simply individuals seeking personal enlightenment. They are catalysts, forces of disruption sent to unravel a carefully constructed illusion. Jesus himself was a disruptor. His presence alone was enough to unsettle the religious and political elite of his time. In John 18:37 he declares, "For this reason I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth." But the truth is dangerous. The truth threatens power. And just as Christ was rejected, ridiculed, and ultimately crucified for his message, those who awaken today will face their own form of resistance. The world is designed to suppress the awakened because an individual who knows their divine nature cannot be controlled. The system thrives on fear, manipulation, and conformity. It convinces people to doubt their own intuition, to seek validation from external authorities, to believe that they are powerless. But an awakened soul does not seek permission to exist. They do not wait for approval to follow their inner knowing. They begin to see the patterns of control woven into society, the way fear is used as a tool, the way division is manufactured, the way distractions are carefully placed to keep people too busy to ask real questions. And once they see it, they can no longer be deceived. This is why awakening is so difficult. It is not just a personal journey. It is a direct challenge to the world as it is. The spiritual energy of an awakened being shifts the very fabric of reality around them. They become lighthouses, beacons that expose the shadows hiding in plain sight. And the system, it reacts. It will try to pull them back in, to make them feel crazy, isolated, wrong. It will whisper that it is safer to remain small, that rebellion is futile. But the awakened do not fight with weapons or violence. They fight with truth, with awareness, with the power of their own mystical presence. And so the question arises, if you have awakened, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you shrink back into the illusion, pretending you do not see? Or will you step fully into your purpose, knowing that the universe placed you here for something far greater than mere survival? The choice is yours. But understand this. Once the system no longer holds power over you, once you reclaim your divine nature, the final step becomes clear. And that step is the ultimate test, choosing between fear and freedom. Once the veil has been lifted, there is no turning back. The awakened stand at a crossroads, faced with a choice that will define the rest of their journey. Will they cling to the remnants of their old life, bound by fear, or will they step boldly into the unknown, embracing the full magnitude of their spiritual power? This is not a passive decision. It is an initiation. The world will not hand them freedom. They must claim it. And to do so, they must release every illusion, every attachment, every fear that once held them captive. Fear is the weapon of the system. It whispers that stepping outside the illusion is dangerous, that to be different is to be alone, that embracing one's true power will lead to rejection, suffering, loss. And yet, what is fear if not a shadow? A mere illusion designed to keep souls trapped in cycles of doubt. In 2 Timothy 1:7, it is written, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind." This is the ultimate truth. Fear is not real. It is a programmed response, an artificial barrier standing between the awakened and their divine destiny. And then there is freedom. True freedom is not found in rebellion for the sake of rebellion. It is not about escaping the system, but transcending it. It is the ability to walk through life unshaken, untamed, untouchable by the forces that once dictated every thought, every action. Those who embrace this path find that the universe begins to realign in their favor. New opportunities arise. People who vibrate at the same frequency appear. Synchronicities become the language of the awakened, guiding them toward their highest potential. This is the moment when everything begins to make sense. The pain, the losses, the struggles, it was all preparation. Every challenge was a test, every hardship a lesson. The mystical process of awakening strips away the false self so that the true self can emerge. And once this transformation is complete, the awakened realize a profound truth. They were never meant to fit into this world. They were meant to create a new one. The choice remains, fear or freedom. The answer may seem obvious, but few are willing to truly let go of the security of the known. But for those who do, those who step fully into their power, the rewards are beyond anything they ever imagined. And so, the journey continues. Because awakening is not an end. It is the beginning of something far greater, something that cannot be explained, only experienced, something that once chosen will change everything forever. Now that you know the truth, the question is, what will you do with it? Will you turn away, pretend you never heard it, and go back to the illusion? Or will you take the first step toward breaking free? The choice is yours. But remember this, once you see, you can never unsee. Have you ever felt that deep, unshakable sense that you were meant for something greater? That this world isn't what it seems? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your experience. Let's build a community of awakened souls who see beyond the illusion. And before you go, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what's coming next because this is just the beginning. There's a reason you were drawn to this video, and I promise you, the next revelation will change everything. Click on the next video now, because what's waiting for you there will take your awakening even deeper. I'm Celestial Truths, and I'll see you on the other side.